this is Glenn Enriquez, and I'm here with Greg Gartner, and we're just talking all things Porsche. And Greg has an amazing collection, and we're going to video it so you can enjoy it. And he's one of our important members, so we want to tell his story to the extent he wants it told. So, Greg, how long have you been involved with the Porsche brand?
It started in the early 80s. A good friend of mine took an assignment over in Italy, ended up getting a gray mark at 911. It was a 77, I think, and brought it to the States, drove it around. We had some great times in it, and then he went back and took another international assignment. And he said, Greg, could I keep it in your garage? And that's what started it. So had a 77 911 for a couple years, belonged to my friend John. Then he came back, took it back. I decided, well, it's time to buy my own, so I bought an 84, and was really great. Enjoyed the car, and then from there, just kept buying different ones that I liked. So I think the next one I got was I sold that one. I think it's when I lived in mainland China for a couple years. When I came back, I bought a new 993.
You lived in
China? A new 996.
You lived in China. Wait a second. Don't gloss over that. You lived in China. What were you doing there?
I worked for General Electric. I was there for 3.5 years in the early 90s.
Okay.
So great experience, great culture, great people.
Wow.
And anyways, came back and did that. So I had a 996. Sold a 993. Didn't really have many miles. I should have kept it. But had a 996. Bought a couple other brands for a while, and then started getting back into the Porsche. And ended up getting a 991 Turbo S. Had that for a couple years. Loved the car. Got rid of that. Ended up getting I think, what was it after that? I think I ended up getting the 930 is when I ended up getting that one. And then after that, I bought a 997 Turbo S. Had that for a couple years, great car, sold that, then ended up getting this, a 993. It's a C4S that was converted to a Turbo S by the original owner. This thing's a real monster of a car. And then I special ordered a 992. So I've had 10 Porsches over the years, and really enjoy the brand. Been to the factory. My 996, I actually put the number 4 cylinder in the engine in the production line. That was a great experience. And so I've been part of the brand for a long time.
Wow. How long have you been affiliated with the Porsche Club?
Actually, I think originally, I think it was 1999 is when I first joined. I was in Shreveport, Louisiana at that time. Joined that club and traveled around to many different states, but now I'm in Florida.
I say you've done some traveling, haven't you?
Yes.
All right, why don't you tell us about the cars?
Okay, so this one, probably my favorite is this. It's a 1996 993. Started its life as a C4S. Original owner wanted to track the car, so he ended up taking it to Pro Tech in New Jersey. Turned this thing into a 650 horsepower monster. Actually welded in the Turbo S fender vents. Put a roll bar in here, Gulfstream suspension. So this car was really built to be a track car. What happened was he ended up marrying someone from Europe. She said put a kibosh to the racing. So he ended up selling it. A surgeon out of Milwaukee bought it. I think he bought it in 2000, maybe 2001, 2002. And then he kept it in his collection. He never tracked it. And so he had a collection of 12 Porsches. I bought it from him. And then what I found out is that there was something very particular about the 993 Turbo series, that if you don't do it right, you end up blowing out a bunch of turbos. So there's a place here in Riviera Beach that really knows Porsches. Took it over to him. He resorted it. It started with a pressure sending valve. And the only way it had fried, the only way to replace it is to take the engine out. Once you do that, now you have a whole opportunity to go do other things. So change the clutch, redid the oil lines into the turbo, redid the turbo air system, redid the intercooler. So Now this car is properly sorted, 27,000 miles, and thing's a monster. But
Wow.
probably my favorite car.
Wow, wow. Okay, let's talk about the 992. Okay, so now we've got a beautiful 992. Why don't you tell us about that one?
Okay, so this one is, I really wanted to get the new Series 992, and I wanted to special order to really what I wanted. And start off with, I wanted to go with a 7-speed manual. Really, it started with the series right before here, the 991 series. They had a great shift pattern, and took one for a ride. It's the same ZF transmission, so that's what I want. I started with a 7-speed. Wanted carbon brakes, I don't like cleaning wheels, and really just have the right color combo that I really like, the agate gray with the Bordeaux and black. And so it was really fun. It was fun. Bought it from Naples Porsche. Was able to spec it out the way I wanted, watched them build it. I wasn't able to go to the factory, unfortunately, due to COVID, but I took delivery March in 2021. The car is spectacular.
Well,
Interestingly enough, the 993 and the 992 drive very similar. That's pure analog, of course, and this is much more digital, but very, very similar feel, weight ratios and power. This is a Carrera S, it's got 450. That's got 650, so that's quite a bit peppier, but it's got a very similar feel to it.
well, for those of you that are not here, this car is just absolutely stunning. It doesn't have a bad angle. It's just unbelievable. So beautiful machine. Okay, and then we've got Brutus.
Yeah, so I've wanted one of these for a long time. This is a 1979, and I've been looking for a long time for one. Found this actually here in Florida, and the engine was built by Anhalter's, 44,000 original miles. The car's been resprayed, and the car is really, it's a great driving vehicle. And it just has a very unusual color combo that I like. Dark brown chocolate with a, it's called Velvet Rose, which was a special order color by Porsche. But it's just, this is pure analog driving, no power steering, no power brakes. So I certainly drive these on different days of the week when I feel like being pure analog. I'll take this out. It's a fun car. It looks great. It sounds great. It smells like you would expect it to smell. But this is probably my second favorite. I just like the color, and I like the way it feels. It's just pure analog driving.
So the 993 is still your fave.
That's my absolute favorite. I love the 992. It's great, but it depends on the mood I'm in. If my wife and I want to go do something raw, we take this out, and she complains because it smells like oil. When we want to do something a little funner, we'll take the 993 out. She gets tired of the smell. That smells like oil too. And when we go to dinner, we'll take the 992, and she's happy with that.
How's the ride on the 992? I mean, some of these things can be kind of brutal,
The 992 or
the 992.
The 992, I did not go with PASM. I think I drove one with PASM before I solidified my order, and that was the first 992 I drove, and I said, if this is the way it drives, I'm not buying one. And the dealer said, well, this has PASM, and I said, find me one without it. And I don't know, a month or so later, they had one that didn't have it. I drove it. I said, I'll order it. So if you want to have a car that feels like a track car, get the PASM, but it lowers it by a half an inch. I think the ride height looks fine on the car. So personally, I just don't like that PASM. Several friends of mine ordered 992. I talked them out of it because it just, maybe it looks a little better. I mean, a half an inch, it's not that much, but the ride is awful.
But in the 992, can't you turn it off?
No, with the PASM, that's kind of the basic, and it's really more sporty. I'm assuming the 993 would probably feel similar, but I personally don't like that feel.
Okay. Well, Greg, I mean, you got a lot to be proud of here. I mean, these are just absolutely gorgeous machines. So with that said, we're going to let, it's a Sunday morning, so we're going to let Greg enjoy his Sunday and get out of his hair. But thank you very much for letting us enjoy the cars.
Yeah, I'm humbled by this, so thank you. Okay. I hope you enjoy the cars.
Thanks, I do. And I think everybody watching is going to be in love with them. Thanks again.